Educators, please welcome Miss Barbara Hoskins Sakamoto. Hello, Miss Barbara.
Hi.
Yeah.
So, are the videos? I was thinking there was one more video. Sorry about that.
No worries, Miss
So
Barbara.
anyway, welcome everybody, and it's good to be back virtually in Indonesia. It's been I went up and got my scarf from my last trip, so I can feel like I'm sort of there. And I've been chatting with people that I've met on my visits to Indonesia to do teacher training. So that's been really a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to meeting some new people in this session. So hello, old friends, and welcome new. And I'm going to go ahead and start my slides. Let me see. Okay. Oops, wrong, too far. Okay. So I think that there's a poll that somebody is going to share. And what I want to do when we're starting out here is I want to find out what your teaching situation is now. Thank you. So if you could take a look at the poll and choose, you can choose more than one answer. So if you are teaching now, what level are you teaching? Okay. Yes, you can click more than one thing. Okay, so it looks like the majority of us are young learners, but many of us are teaching, oh, there's English and also other than English. Alrighty, I think just about everybody has answered. So let's stop the poll and can everybody see the results here? Or if I shared that, let me see here.
Yeah, we can see the results.
Okay, you can?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, the majority of us are young learners teachers, but a fair number of people are also teaching something other than English. So, and some of us are training and some of us are supervising. And so what we're going to try to do is work on adapting the things that we talk about today to also work for different levels of teaching. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And today we're going to be talking about teaching online, and it's the impact it has on students, but also on teachers, because it's affecting all of us, isn't it? So first thing I want you to do, and you can just type this in chat, how are you feeling today? So I've seen a lot of you in trainings here with Mentari. So how are you doing today? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you excited? Confused, surprised, angry, bored, hungry, cool, and embarrassed? Hopefully you're not bored yet.
Yeah, we have some answers here, Miss Barbara.
I see them. I have the chat open.
That's great.
Okay, so yeah, so excited.
Pretty cool.
Okay. Okay, well, we're getting the answers there. Okay, yeah. All right, so yeah, and I am excited to be here. So what I want to do, I think it's good to check in with our students too, to see how are they doing, right? Because everybody's got a lot of things going on in their lives, don't they? So I created a Bitmoji Classroom about me. And while well, I go close my dog in his cage. I want you to see what you can tell from the picture about me. So what hints in this picture can you learn? What can you learn about me from looking at this picture if you had to make a guess? You can type those in the chat too, and I'll be right back. I just have to close. Yeah, I love plants. Okay, right back.
Yeah, we have so many answers here. So participants, what do you think about Miss Barbara?
Sorry about that. One of
Yeah,
the
no worries.
emergencies there of having the dog in the house. So yes,
some
I have a dog.
Miss Barbara.
Well, I'm not loving my beagle so much right now. He just got into some family photos and started eating them while I was online here. So, so you may hear him very unhappy in the cage because now he's locked in. I love traveling. All right, I look content. Yeah, the Bitmojis are great that way. What else can you tell about me? I like turtles. Yeah, the turtle is a picture that I took when I was snorkeling. So, and I love traveling. You can tell that from the globe. Yes, I write books for young learners and I train teachers. I have a dog. His name is Max. He's now eating old photographs. The challenges of working online, right? I love my family. Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, so you can tell a lot from this. And this kind of image is very easy to create. And it's something that you can do for your students too. And you can also have your, if you're teaching older students, like teens, they can also create these sort of rooms about themselves. And you can share, hints about each other. You can also put up your schedule for class, what you're going to cover in the session. You can talk about what's going to come next, the homework. So you can recreate their classroom online. Now, after the session today, we're going to have an email that comes out, and I know that they were going to include a link to resources that I'm sharing in the workshop today that you can download and you can access online to create your own classrooms or to use some of the links that are at the bottom of these pictures. So any questions about this before we move on? Can you imagine how you could use this in your class? I'm going to be asking that a lot today, by the way. So can you imagine how you could use this in your class? Are you using Zoom to teach or mostly, or WhatsApp? I think that you could, Asifa. How would you use this for preschoolers? Are you using Zoom with them? Or using Google Classroom or something like that? Okay, yeah. If you're using Zoom, it's really easy to share your screen. And I'm going to show, I've got some other Bitmoji Classroom activities later, but it's bright and attractive. So you can recreate the classroom. It works in Google Meet too, and it works in WebEx, I think. Anything where you can share your screen. This is just a PowerPoint slide, right? So there are interactive ones online. And if you do a search for Bitmoji Classroom, if you go to Google and just search for Bitmoji Classroom, there are lots of resources because it's very popular with teachers in like preschools and kindergartens and elementary schools in the United States too. A lot of the teenagers are like, oh, Bitmoji is so old. Only old people use Bitmoji. But the children really like it. I think with teens, it's more fun for them to be able to create their own room. Because, a lot of students don't really want to show their original background, right? So if you can create this, you can also show students where they can start creating it. But I think that when we get to a scavenger hunt later, you can see one way you could use it for younger learners. Okay. So today we're going to talk about some of the challenges for teaching online. And and for learning online, strategies to encourage our students to learn, and how to keep students engaged and happy while they're online with you, and how to design effective online lessons and activities. Now, a lot of what I'll be showing you might look like games or playing. It might not look like serious learning, but it's the same as doing a worksheet, except it's more engaging. So if you run into parents who think that, learning has to look really serious even when it's online, you can explain that there's strong pedagogy behind doing it the way that I'm showing you today. So I know you've been teaching online for a while now. So how are you feeling about teaching online? Are you feeling really confident? Are you loving teaching online? Do you miss your students? Do you miss your fellow teachers? Do you enjoy being at home? So how are you feeling about online teaching? Really confident? Overwhelming? Yeah, and exciting? Yeah, it can be kind of confusing, can't it? Yeah, surprise. It's been interesting to see here in Japan, some students have said that they like online learning better than face-to-face. They get more attention from the teacher. And some teachers are enjoying online teaching more than face-to-face because it's much easier to give attention to students. But it's also very tiring, and it can be really boring. Yeah, and it's really hard. I think that we're going to talk about challenges, but I think that some of those connection issues can be a real challenge. Oh, Vince, I'm so sad that you're sad and bored. So are you missing your classroom? Yeah, so it can be, yeah, and I think a lot of us miss our students. And you know what? Your students miss you too. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of teachers that have a very active way of teaching have a difficult time moving to teaching online because we can't move around and get away from the screen very much. Yeah. Okay, so what are some of the challenges? I saw some of them earlier, that it's hard to be away from your students. Yeah, and we miss them a lot. Somebody mentioned devices and connection. So what kind of problems do you run? Are your students mostly accessing from tablets or smartphones? Or are some of them on computers? Does the internet cooperate with you? Mostly smartphones, and they get bored easily, yeah. Yeah, I think that one of the things we need to do is to change our way of thinking about online lessons. I think sometimes our schools want us to teach face-to-face online for as long as we would teach face-to-face in the classroom, right? And that's really hard for students, especially preschool and primary, to sit still that long. Yeah, and when you can't see the gesture, and you have a hard time knowing if students understand you because you can't see their faces always. And yeah, and internet all around the world, the internet is really being challenged. Yeah, and we're having to learn a new way of teaching, right? So I think that when they first started having the online lessons, they called it emergency remote teaching, right? Because nobody was planning on it lasting. And everybody was just trying to survive at first. But now it's kind of become our norm. And so teachers are getting better at it. I see lots of teacher groups on Facebook sharing resources for teaching online. Yeah. And if we want to reach out, we have to teach, somehow we have to help our students let us know when they don't understand. And I have some techniques in the presentation today to do that. And our teaching product might not be supported. I know a number of teachers that have glasses that didn't used to have glasses just because of so many hours looking at a screen, right? So it's hard on everybody. But what's some of the good stuff about teaching online? Everything has pluses and minuses. So the minuses are not being with our students, the internet connection, devices, not knowing if our students are understanding. But what are the things that you found are really rewarding about teaching online? Because there are some real advantages that we don't have when we're in a classroom. Less angry. Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand that one, but yeah, you can't lose your temper with children very easily online. Yeah, we're learning new ways of teaching. We can become more creative. We use less paper. You aren't having to commute through, polluted Jakarta to get to your school. You're working from home. It is a good challenge. If you like challenges, this is a great time to be a teacher, isn't it? Easy to check assignments. It's easy to assess. Right, we can give more individual feedback to students when we're working online. And so it's also a challenge when you're the teacher, but you also are the parent of children who are learning online. Right? I know a lot of teachers that are trying to juggle their students' lessons with their teaching obligations. And in some cases, there's one computer in the house, and that can be a challenge. Yet we were developing, I think everybody has learned a lot more talent about using technology. Everybody's a lot better at it now. Yet we have a chance to personalize our lesson curriculums. We're using lots less paper, for sure. In some cases, some students are more willing to participate online than in a regular classroom, especially with teens. I've noticed a lot of teen teachers telling me that their students are a lot more communicative when they're in a Zoom room than they were in a face-to-face classroom. Maybe because there is less attention on them. It's hard to say. I did ask them why, and they don't really know why the teens, some of the teens said that they didn't feel as much pressure, and they couldn't see anybody on either side, so it was just them and the camera, so they were more willing to talk. And also I suspect that part of it is that they can check Facebook and things during class without getting in trouble. Right, so I think that a lot of teens have their another smartphone to the side when they're class. Yeah, so there are some advantages, right? So one of the things we're going to look at today is how to try to make the most of what we have online. And one of the things, I'm curious to see if, with your experience so far, what do you think what's been the most important factor in your online lessons? What have you found to be the most important? Interesting topics, a paradigm. Chandra, can you explain what you mean by paradigm? Breakout rooms are fabulous, aren't they? Okay, if you've got that cheap internet. Yeah, you're going to use a lot of internet, so you need good connection. Okay, yeah. Most important thing seems to be the internet. Okay, and making sure that lessons are interesting. Good preparation. Yeah, okay. Those are all important, I think. So I want to take you through and do a lesson together. So I'm going to have you be a student first here, getting good with the camera. Yeah, learning how to juggle like Zoom breakout rooms and polls and the sharing your screen and feedback. All of those things become really essential. Oh, that's important. Yeah, you have plan A, plan B, plan C. Yeah. Are any of you also using WhatsApp with your students? Or just like Zoom and Google Classroom? Yeah, you do? Okay. Okay, good. We're going to be looking at some things to do with WhatsApp too. Okay, great. Okay, well, Google Meet allows a lot of those same things. All right. So this is a course that I worked on with two other teachers, coursebook writers. And what we wanted to create, okay, so you're going to be students here for a minute. What we want to create was a chance for teachers to work on their own English, but not classroom English and not general English. The English that you need to participate in online professional development. All right, we looked at everything. There's so much free online, and there's so much great training like these workshops that Mentari offers. And a lot of teachers don't participate because they don't have confidence in their English, or sometimes their English isn't that strong. And so by the time they think of something to say, the speaker has moved on to the next topic. And so they end up holding back. So we wanted to create a course that would help teachers gain confidence in using English to talk about teaching to other teachers. So we're going to do part of one of the courses together. And what I want you to do is pay attention to the steps in the lesson and what those steps seem to show about what's important in an online lesson. All right. So first, a poll for you. This would be poll number 2, I think. Can we, oops, I don't want to put that up yet. Can we put the poll? Yeah, we go. All right, so this is one choice. Can you make your choice? How do you feel? How are you a good language learner? Confident. All righty. Now, see, this is a little biased, right? Because teachers almost always enjoy learning languages. Okay. You aren't quite, not as many of you are comfortable making mistakes. All righty. So I'm comfortable making mistakes. I never give up. I am confident speaking English in public. I enjoy learning languages. Well, most of you enjoy learning languages. Most of you are confident speaking English in public. A lot of you never give up. A few of you are comfortable making mistakes. There's a question from Chandra. This lesson, the first lesson is free. The course itself is not free, although we do offer scholarships. I guess this is a good time to mention that, you know, I do think that it's really important for teachers to pay for professional development, if at all possible, for 2 reasons. One, if you pay for professional development, the people organizing it can provide better quality for you. Sometimes you get what you pay for, right? And somebody is subsidizing what you're doing regardless. If you have something that's free online, somebody is paying for it. And maybe what they're getting from you is your email, or maybe what they're getting from you is your data. So maybe you're not paying for it up front, or maybe they hope to sell you books, or maybe they hope to sell you a more expensive course. But what I've been doing this now since 2011, and we've given out about more than 300 scholarships. And what I've found is that when teachers can pay something, like even if it's $5 US, if teachers can pay something toward their learning, they usually finish the course. if they get the course free, if they don't have any investment in the course, then sometimes they treat it as if it's not very valuable. Does that make sense? So yeah, it's not a free course. This first lesson is free, and I invite you to come do it. And in the information that Todd's going to be sending out, there's a link where you can sign up for the ITDI newsletter. And we do offer sometimes like special, like Indonesia only courses that are priced for Indonesian teachers, or scholarships for the courses that are international. So I do encourage you to check it out. So yeah, but it is a great chance. And I think that what Mentari is offering for all of you is just amazing. The quality of the training that I've seen available, it's really admirable for them to take, again, the situation that is not ideal, right? Everybody's stuck at home, can't go out doing face-to-face training. And rather than just complaining about how things are different, I think they've come up with a really wonderful format. And I think that if anything, more of you can attend their training with it being online than you could if it was in one place. Right? At least that's what I found with my trainings, is that it's much easier for people to attend when it's online. And then there's a recording after. So if you miss something, or your dog starts being a pain in the butt during the workshop, you can go back and watch it again. So, okay, now every lesson has 4 parts. So this is a language course. So we have listening, but we have listening for pronunciation. Not listening to make your pronunciation better, but more listening to improve your ability to hear different varieties of English. So like my English sounds different from somebody in Australia, and sounds different from somebody in the UK. And I'm biased. I think the American English accent is probably one of the nicer accents, but it's important to understand a lot of different varieties. And then we also have 2 like vocabulary and grammar. And finally, we have reading. And what we did was we brought together 20 teachers from around the world, put them together in a chat, and asked a lot of questions about teaching. And then we used the language that they came up with in the chat to create the lessons. So here is, let me see. Okay, and so I was going to say this first. I forgot my little circle there. So it was written by me, and then Chuck Sandy, who some of you know in Indonesia, and Kate Corey Wright, who is a great Cambridge author. And then the 20 teachers from around the world, including Indonesia, and the 4 parts. All right, so I'm going to go to share my screen, and what I want you to do in the chat, we're going to do some listening together. So let me go to my, all right, I'm going to play an audio clip. And so you're going to listen. This is a listening for pronunciation. So this is listening for stress. So you know already that, for example, present, right? He gave me a present is a noun. And present, I'm going to present a lecture, is a verb. So I want you to listen and type in the chat whether the first sentence is a noun or a verb, okay?
One, I'm going to present a slideshow about my summer trip.
Okay, verb, right, excellent. Okay, number 2, verb or adjective?
2, I worked hard to perfect my accent.
Oh, you guys are hot. Okay. Oops. Okay, so 3, verb or noun?
3, I lived in an international student compound on campus.
Okay. Again, the next one is also a noun or verb.
4. I bought myself a present last week.
Noun or verb. Okay. You guys have great listening. So I'm going to stop sharing this and go back to my slides. Okay, so we do have listening, but it's a little bit different from perhaps the listening that you might have in a regular course book. Okay, but again, what I want you to get from here is that the content is, from teachers for teachers, right? So rather than learning about going shopping or making a hotel reservation, it's the language that you use for talking about teaching, but working in the context of grammar. So you can see here that each of the phrases is from, again, the discussions that we had with these teachers that were from different parts of the world. So tell me if, so being able to speak another language is enjoyable or enjoyment, because you can make new friends. Oh, I forgot we had a poll. Yeah, thank you. You don't have to type in chat, you can just do the poll. Okay. You guys are really good. See, I think I would guess that the majority of you, your English is higher than the level of English that we're aiming for in the course. All right. So generally, the teachers that we work with are at a SEFR like B1 level to up to, and we work on bringing them up to like B2, so that they can do things like CELTA and they can do online training more easily. Okay. Well, I think that we've established that you guys know all the answers. Excellent. Okay, so we did listening, we did vocabulary, and, okay. So here now, I want you to match the pictures. So we have more advice from teachers, and I want you to tell me which picture it goes with. So you could try changing the language for your online communities to English. Okay, A, B, C, or D. Which picture do you think shows you could try changing the language for your online communities? Okay. Okay. So Fariana, why do you think that it's C? You're correct, but why do you think it's C? What hint do you see in the picture? It shows Facebook, yeah. It's a pretty big hint. Okay. Right. You could listen to songs that you like and try writing the lyrics. Which picture? You are correct. It is D, right? He has headphones. Yeah, good, good, good picking up on the hint there, Irma. Okay. You could try traveling to places where you have to use a foreign language. From Vicky in Switzerland. Excellent. Okay, and the last one, you should read literature to increase vocabulary and language awareness, from Cecilia. Right. Yeah, a stack of books. Yeah, we're assuming that those are literature books. Okay, excellent. Right, so we had listening, we have vocabulary, we have grammar, right? We're learning modals here. Then we have reading, and the reading is from teachers. So we have blog posts from teachers where here they're giving advice for working on their own language learning. It was nice that everybody who did the course, everybody who helped us write the course, was either a teacher for whom English was their second or third or fourth language, or it was somebody from an English-speaking country who also spoke a second language. So we all had experience learning a language, right? So you can get very good advice from people. The next thing that people always do, we do two things. We have people write their answers to a question in a forum, and then our mentors can interact with the teachers in the forum, and teachers can interact with each other to make comments. And so it's like having a chat group with members from around the world. So for a lot of the teachers doing the course, it's one of the first times they've had to use English to talk about teaching, right? Because most of their professional development was in their first language. So it's an excellent chance to get practice talking about things in teaching. And then the last thing we do is, and here's a couple of the posts. So Ruben is from Peru, and Maria Teresa Continanza, I think actually was from Brazil. I'm not sure exactly, I don't remember. But they had never met each other, obviously, so they only have a chance to get together online. But then after teachers have a chance to write it, we come together and we talk about it. So here's a chance that if you feel like talking, let's say between 4 and 5 people. Ocha, if you'd like to help me get some volunteers, people who might like to turn their mics on and talk.
Yeah, silakan.
So it's going to be talking about, yeah, if you'd like to, please raise your hand. So it's going to be talking about one thing you've done to learn English.
Okay, we have Miss Asifa, Miss Barbara.
Okay.
Right now, and also Mr. Delfidus Nongbapan.
Okay. All right. Would anybody else like to talk?
Mr. Bima, maybe, yeah? Okay, maybe the first one we can ask Miss Asifa.
Okay, well,
Sure.
Okay, and Irma, are you volunteering too?
Yeah.
All right, so basically, what I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, is would you tell us what one thing you've done to help you learn English? Okay, what did you do to help you learn English? Now we're pretending you already wrote this in the forum, and we've already discussed it in writing between each other. But since you guys are so advanced, we're skipping that part and going right to the discussion. So, so let me see. Ms. Asifa, would you like to start and tell us what you did?
Okay. So hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Ashifa, just call me Shifa. So, okay, I've got a question here. One thing I did to help me learn English, I think it started when I was still in junior high school. So I learned English through Justin Bieber. Oh my God, this was so lame. But yeah, I learned English with Justin Bieber. So I was a fan of him back then. So I started to listen to his songs, and then I searched for his interview, and I tried to translate all of the words to make me understand what he's saying. So yeah, I think he helps me a lot. He helped me a lot in learning English, especially through his songs and his interview in YouTube. Because luckily back then I was privileged enough to have internet, so yeah, I used that for learning English. Thank you.
Oh, you're so young. When to grow up with internet.
I'm 23 right now, so I don't think, okay.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
you're very young.
Thank you.
Okay,
but
maybe.
that's wonderful. So listening to music and watching YouTube and songs. I see that in the chat too. Would somebody else like to share what they've done to learn
Yeah.
English?
We have Mr. Delphidus. Please,
Okay.
please, Mr. Delphidus, share with us.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ocha. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, this is a question. What is one thing you did to help you learn English? To me, watching movies is the most thing that helped me when I first learned English. So I watch movies and then also watch any kinds of English program in the television or from internet like YouTube. Yeah. The first when I first learned English, I like watching Oprah Winfrey. I like that
Oh, that's great.
program. Yeah, so I like watching that one at the beginning. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, I was going to say when my daughter was small, we moved back to the United States when she was a baby, but we took all kinds of videos back. So until she was about 3 years old, she didn't know the Disney characters spoke English. So if she wanted to watch Disney shows, she had to watch them in Japanese. So that was one way we tried to help her. And I see that Mohammed talks about watching Harry Potter. And my daughter, when she wrote the entrance essay for university, and they asked her to write about the person who influenced her the most, she wrote about Harry Potter because he made her want to read English. Right? And she didn't want to before that. Okay, would somebody else like to share what they did to learn English?
Okay, maybe the last one, Mr. Arfan. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Arfan. Please unmute yourself first. Hello, Mr. Arfan.
Okay, or maybe one of the other people with hands raised, maybe?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
Mr. Arfan here. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, would you please share, sir?
it's my voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
One thing I did to help myself to learn English, for me, I translate everything that I want to say in my head into English, because the best vocabulary that we have to memorize is the words that we always use every day. Is the best thing, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I want to take, for example, before I don't know what is a fan, but I want to turn on the fan. What's the English of fan? Even though I'm alone, I speak myself. I want to turn on the fan. Yeah. I find in dictionary what is the English of phone, or anything that I want to say in my head, I translate into English.
Wow.
It's my
Okay, that's great.
idea to learn
That's
English.
Thank you,
really
Mr. Arfan.
dedicated. Okay, so I see a lot in the chat also that people watching shows in English and listening to songs and yeah, Disney. Yeah, with no internet with the lyrics. Yeah, I remember when I was trying to learn Japanese, I would listen. When I first was teaching in Japan, I was teaching businessmen. And so after class, they always wanted to go to karaoke. And I got really, really tired of singing English songs from the 1940s and 50s because that's what they had at karaoke. So I decided I would learn some Japanese songs. So I had my CD player, or no, cassette player back in those days, listening to the songs and trying to write down the lyrics to help myself with Japanese. So, okay, so now you can see this is what we do in the course. Everybody has a chance to offer their genuine experiences and opinions, and we can learn from each other, right? So the idea is that we all have something to share and we all have something to learn. And that's a fundamental principle behind this course and also ITDI. And, you know, Asta, I think I might be older than you, but yeah, I grew up with a lot of those same things. So what were the steps in this lesson? What did we do? Thinking thinking of yourself as students, all right? So what were the steps in this lesson, and what effect would they have on your experience in learning? So did we start out with discussion, for example? No. We started from listening, so passive. Then we did like vocabulary activities and grammar activities and reading. So we built the skills from simple to complex, right? And then application. You would write about it. First you read it, you get the parts, you write about it, and then you talk about it. And what we discovered was the talking about it was the magic ingredient. That teachers getting together in a safe, nurturing environment helps them get over that part of being afraid of making mistakes, right? So if you're in a group that feels safe and secure, people aren't going to laugh at you if you make a mistake. It's easier to start making them. And that's when your English really improves. Okay, so how could you take the principles behind this? Now I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say I think this is a good lesson, right? Now you may not agree with me, but let's assume it's a good lesson. What steps here, what could you take from here to apply to your own lesson planning? And if you prefer to use voice than writing, that's okay too. I'm sure that Ocha can unmute you if you raise your hand. But otherwise, you can also type in chat. What do you think from this kind of lesson is something that you can use to plan your own lessons? Well, you can start from the simple and scaffold the learning so that by the time you ask students to do something, they feel comfortable doing it. Okay, that's one of the things. And you can also make sure that your students feel secure. So what would the difference be doing this kind of lesson versus doing like a MOOC, a free MOOC that has 1,000 teachers in it? So what would the difference be, and what does it mean for your students?
Yeah, silakan. Educators, if you want to answer, you can unmute yourself.
Okay,
That's
thank you,
fine.
Ocha.
You're welcome. Or also through the chat box, yeah? They can also type it on the chat box.
Yes. So I can tell you what I think, but I'm really interested to hear what you think too, because you're the ones teaching your students. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
Rina.
I see someone's. Hello, Miss Rina. Yeah, would you please unmute yourself? Okay, thank you.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss.
Well, actually, frankly speaking, I still can't imagine how should I plan my class. But one thing, I will start by something really simple, and then, like you said in earlier, yeah, I would like to begin with listening. Then soon after that, I would like to give them some of the vocabulary probably that connects with the material at a time. And I'm a bit blurred on the next step actually.
Okay, well that's fine. Yeah, what I was going to say here is that, and Asifa also says something about starting out with a discussion. If it's familiar language, right? It can be the same sort of activation. So one of the things that I wanted to bring out from it is the importance of the social connection. Okay, so we talked a little bit about how you feel alone and how you feel kind of lonely missing your students and how your students miss you. And so the biggest thing that you can give them is connection. And research has shown over and over and over again that learning is social. The best learning happens when we have a connection with our teachers and with each other. So if we don't build that safe, secure environment for our students, it's hard to get them engaged in the learning. It's hard to get them to learn anything, and it's hard to get them to listen to feedback. So research shows us that, like, you notice that, you know, your students tell you how much they love you, right? Especially if you teach children. Teens are not quite as loving, but if you're teaching children, children love you and they tell you they love you. So, and they want you to tell them that you love them and that you miss them. But if you think about your own situation and how you might feel a little bit isolated and a little bit stressful with your own connection, imagine how your students feel, because they're having the same problems with connection. And they're also trying to guess what it is you want them to do. So we're going to be looking at activities that help to build that social connection, because not only can they be learning activities, but that connection is fundamental to our students being able to learn. Any questions about this before we move on, or is it pretty clear?
I think not yet, yeah, Miss
Okay.
Barbara. Maybe you can continue.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at how we can keep the students engaged in our lessons and how we can help them to learn online by starting with building a connection. And some of those things are just interactive, right? So this is, let me see, how are we doing? Yeah, we're good. Let me go over and show you this. I found this because it is a simple scavenger hunt activity that you can do with your students without having to create something. All right, so there's a link to this in your letter. Now I'm going to run it and stop it. Okay, so find something yellow. How would you use this with your students? What would you do? You could ask them to go find something yellow and come back and show you on the screen, right? Show and tell. Or if you're dealing with older students, you could change it to tell me something that's yellow. Okay, let's try another one. Find something that's smaller than your hand. Again, what would you, yeah, okay, good job. Ocha found a pen that's smaller than her hand. All right, so let's do one more. Find something with wheels. Do anybody have anything with wheels near them? Nobody's in their car doing this, huh? Okay, but now, obviously, this is more for English teachers, although you could easily create something like this for other subjects as well. But one thing that's nice, the reason I like this one is that it's already done. Right? So I just have to share the screen. I don't have to actually create anything. So let me close it though, because I've also learned the hard way that YouTube continues if I don't do that. So let's look at another kind of okay. I told you I was going to do Bitmoji with you. Okay, so this is a Bitmoji Classroom. Now, if you are, now this was either English teachers or science teachers. So I want you to look at this picture, and there's a link to this in the message that's going to come out too, and to see, can you find something that makes a crunch? Can you look at the picture? Do you see something that makes a crunch, like crunch, crunch, crunch when you're eating? What, can you see something that's crunchy? Chips, okay. Can you find something that tastes sour? Tastes sour. Lemon. How about smells good? Something that smells good. Orange, okay. Something that's smooth. What's smooth? Oh, that's a good one, the table. The napkin. Can you see anything else that might be smooth? The carpet I don't think is smooth. Smooth. Okay, leaf. Leaf might be smooth. How about something, 3? Can you find something that's 3 of the same thing? Candy, okay. There's more than 3 of that. Spoon. 3 spoons? Jars, okay. 3 oranges. Cans, forks. You guys are really good. All right, how about something that smells bad? What can you see that smells bad? The carpet smells bad? I'm not sure I want to come to your house. The dishes smell bad. Yeah, they're dirty dishes, I guess. Okay. How about something that tastes sweet? Apple, candy, pear, right? Something that is loud. Do you see anything in the room that's loud? What do you think? The fan. Yeah, the fan might be loud. It could be loud. The chips could be loud. Yeah, especially if somebody chews with their mouth open, right? And then the kettle would be loud. Yeah. Okay, how about something that's long? Yeah, the fan above the stove. Okay. The fork, that's a pretty long fork there. Okay. How about something short? What looks like it's short? The bin. All right. Soft. What do you think might be soft? The carpet probably is. How about something white? Ah, the cutting board. Okay. Huh, the lamp. Yeah, paper. How about something quiet? What might be quiet here? What do you think might be quiet? The plant would be quiet. Yeah. The microwave might be quiet. Okay. And the last one, what might be rough here? What do you think is rough? The carpet. Okay. The table. Yeah, it's a wooden table. All right. Now, these kind of scavenger hunts can take a fair bit of time to create, but that's why it's nice that teachers share, right? So teachers create them and share them for other teachers to use. You just, you want to pretend that, you don't want to pretend you made it yourself. If you borrow it from somebody, you want to include a link or tell people that you borrowed it. But now, if you are a math teacher, you can also have a scavenger hunt. Right? So this would work for English teachers too, but it also works for math teachers. So can you find 2 pencils and 1 blue crayon? So how many items do you have? If you have 2 pencils and 1 blue crayon, how many do you have? 3. Okay, find 5 blocks and 2 pennies. And how many do you have? Take away 3 blocks and how many are left? So you can see how this would work for both English and for math and for science, right? So if you're teaching other topics, these Bitmoji classrooms are pretty awesome. And most of them are made with Google Slides. So they're easy to use online. I included a link to this set. There's nature, there's a black and white, a variety of scavenger hunts. And they're designed to use in Google Classroom or in Zoom. I've used them on WhatsApp, although the picture is pretty small, but it's not impossible. But did you feel engaged when you were looking for things? Yeah? And then it was a good way for me to see that you understood, right? Very simple response. And with everybody replying at the same time, nobody, nobody feels left out, right? So not calling on one person to answer. So everybody's looking and finding, and it feels like a game, but I was asking real questions. So it was meaningful. You're giving me real answers. It was meaningful. You're engaged and you're learning something. I could see that you understood what sour meant and sweet. I could test your math concepts, right? So how else, can you think of any other ways that you could use a scavenger hunt in your class? What else could you do with a scavenger hunt? Think about going to breakout rooms. How could you use a scavenger hunt in a breakout room rather than the whole classroom? And if you have an idea and you'd like to use your voice to say it, that's fine. Just raise your hand so Ocha can see you, or you can type in the chat. So if you were going to use a scavenger hunt, how could you use it? Or what could you do if you used it in a breakout room? Okay, Rena?
For me to do is
Hello, Miss Rowena?
Yeah.
okay, hello.
Yeah.
For me, what I do for the breakout room is that instead of using a picture, I can use the real object. Like, give me something red because I teach preschool. Give me something yellow, or show me your favorite toy, or show me something black, like that. So that's what I do.
Okay. Yeah, there was a comment from Christy Sandri about that would be really busy and noisy. It'd be hard to use with children that can't write. Now, I did it with you typing in chat because I know you all can. If you were doing this with kindergartners, what you could do is simply ask, can you find something that tastes sour? Give me a thumbs up when you find it, or raise your hand, or just give me some indication that you found it. And when everybody has their hand up, then you can unmute and everybody says one time, lemon, and then you can mute everybody and say, okay, can you find something sour and bring it back and show me? And then if they have something sour in their house, and I don't have anything sour. So, but yeah, so you can adapt it so that you don't have like 15 children unmuted shouting answers at you. You can also have them circle if you're using something where they can annotate, or if you're using like Google Slides where you can do it if you do it in edit mode, then everybody can touch the screen. So yeah, and it can be a lot of fun, but you can adapt it to control the noise level by having people find it and just letting you know they found it without saying what the answer is first. What you can do then in breakout rooms, though, if you're teaching older children that you use breakout rooms for, is then you can have them go find those items in their house. So the breakout room, the assignment can be to find a list of items to match the items in the scavenger hunt, and then they can come back to class and report. So that, Indri has something smooth, and Rena had something rough, and Arief had something sour, and then they can show what they brought back. Okay. Here's another, it's a guessing game. These are pictures, close-up pictures. Can you guess what these are? What do you think these are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you think they are? One is pavement. Good guess. Okay, what else? How about number 2? Squirrel, tail, okay. How about number 3? Somebody's using the knowledge of my dog, okay. Leaf. How about number 4? Flower, okay. Trees. All right. How about number 5? Gate, okay, and 6. Okay, 5 is fence, 6 is chair, bench. Okay, good guesses. All right, are you ready to take a look at the answers? Okay, so number 1 is a wall. Number 2 is my dog, but it's his ear. Number 3 is a leaf. Number 4 is weeds. But thank you for guessing trees. My students really hope that people guess trees for that one. 5 is a fence or a gate, and 6 is my dining chair, actually the one I'm sitting on right now. So now this is something that came from another book called Learning to Go. And it's a version of Show Me, but if you've got students on, if you're using WhatsApp, students can take photos and send to you too. Right? So take photos of things around their house and send you, and then you can edit the photo to show the close-up. Right, so they can find something they want people to guess, and then they can either send you the close-up and the large size, or they can just send you large size. But how could you use this in, for example, like teaching science, or teaching math, or teaching geography? How could you use that kind of guessing game, like a digital photo guessing game, close-ups? Can you think of any ideas? Or if you're teaching English and you want to include more content subjects.
We're waiting.
Oh no, if people are thinking, that's a good thing. So for example, I could ask people to send me a picture of something that's round, right? Estimate the lengths of objects. That's a good one too. Show the picture and guess how long it is, and then use a ruler or use a measure to show. You could also have, find something that is like H2O. Send me a picture of H2O. And then I can get close up to the water. So something related to the theme around their house, they can use a picture to describe it. One thing I like about these close-ups too is that sometimes students don't want to show their houses, or sometimes their parents don't want to show their houses. So, but if you do a close-up of like a plate for, show me something round, and they send you a picture of a cookie or a plate, that's low risk. Nobody's embarrassed. And you can, that way they're engaged in the learning, they're providing the material for the lesson, and they get to be the star by sending you something and participating. Okay, and it's an easy thing that they can do using technology they have available. Okay, any questions about this before we move on? We already talked about how to use it. Are there any questions about using it? Rina, did you have a question?
Yeah, silakan, Miss Rina.
Yes, unmute myself. Okay. Yes, I have a question. Is it clear enough? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Is it more?
Hello, Miss Rina?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, you just muted yourself.
Yeah, sorry. One question actually, but it keeps in my mind. Is it possible if we, how do I say it? Let me paraphrase. You shown in the last activities that we can use pictures or a game, or lots of pictures to show that engagement to students. Is there any other ways that we can connect with the students? I mean, how do I say it? Building a connection with them without a picture probably, or is there any other way to show that our engagement with students?
Yeah, we're going to be doing other activities that don't depend on pictures too.
Oh, okay.
these are, yeah. So using a picture to tell a story. You could use the picture as a starting point for the discussion too. Right. So has anybody ever seen something similar? Like if we did the show me something round and then we look, oh, it's a plate. People, I mean, it'd be a silly discussion, wouldn't it? Like, yeah, I have a plate at my house too. So, but you know, you can connect it that way. But yeah, the picture to tell a story. And let's look at some of the other activities for engagement that aren't picture based. But yeah, the whole point is like, here's one that's not at all picture based. Okay. I have a box.
Yeah.
And I want you to guess what's in the box, but you only get 20 questions.
20 questions.
One of the questions cannot be what's in the box. So you can either type in chat or you can use voice. What's in the box? Now, so this is an engagement activity that's getting students to practice questioning patterns, but it's also strategy, critical thinking to ask smart questions, right? If students start saying, is it a leaf? Well, that's kind of it's either yes or no, and that's one question, and they only get 20. Is it something you can eat? No. What is the box made of is not a good question because it doesn't matter, but it's cardboard. Okay, so what's in the box?
Is it something heavy?
Yeah, it's very heavy. It's not precious.
Okay. Is it?
Its candy is not a question. Is it made of metal? No. Is it expensive? No. Is it sharp? A little bit.
Okay.
Can we eat it? No. Is it shiny? Maybe a little bit. Is it a living thing? No, it's not.
Is it round?
No, it is not. Did I get it as a gift? No. And it's not jewelry. Is it plastic? No. No, I'm ignoring the ones that are not questions. Is it something we can play with? No. Is it an animal? No. Is it hard? Yes.
Hard, yes.
Is it cheap? Yes. Is it
of
metal?
rubber?
No.
Is it made of rubber?
No, it's not. Is it something we always use? No. Is it a key? Is it a stone? Yes, Farah. It's a stone. Yeah. It's
exactly about 20 questions long, Miss Barbara.
You guys did it. And it's a little shiny. I got it at the volcano in Kyushu.
Oh.
So, and I actually paid for a rock because it had these sparkly little rainbow flecks. So anyway, you can bring something in a box to your class. It's like lava. It's from a volcano. So what I do though, when I bring it in the box the first time, a lot of times the first time I do it, students don't guess correctly. They use up 20 questions and they don't get the answer. So I just put the box down.
Okay.
And then I bring it back to the next class and see if they can do better.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So there's an engagement there where you don't just you don't get to see it unless you get the correct guesses. So then you can also let students bring something in a bag or a box. And then other students can guess what's inside. So not only are you developing their questioning skills, but also their critical thinking skills and creative thinking skills. Now, if you're dealing with very small children, the questions are going to have to be oral.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with older students, you can have them type also. Right? So that's one activity that's not picture-based.
Okay.
Right? But I'm drilling questions. So it feels like a game. Because there's a real reason to ask the questions. But it's just a drill. And the students are practicing the questions and not noticing how much they're practicing because they're invested. They're engaged.
Right.
Okay. Now another one, we're going to do this just 3 fingers, but I have never. So you can do with 5 fingers or 3 fingers. And everybody starts with 3 fingers for this version because it's faster. And you say something that you have never done. And if other people have done it, you have to lower 1 finger. And so you play the game until one person has no fingers, and then you stop. And the person who still has like 2 fingers showing or 3 fingers showing is the winner. Or you can play the opposite too. Okay, so let's try it once. If you want to play, turn your webcams on and show 3 fingers. All right. And I don't know that I can see everybody here. Let me see if I can go gallery. All right. All right, so if you want to play, show me 3 fingers and I'll start. I have never been to Bali. If you've been to Bali, put a finger down.
No.
Okay, so so Rena, would you like to say the next one? I have never
been to America.
I have. Okay, would somebody else like to say one? I have never.
Can I try?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've never eaten hamburger.
I've had hamburger. Okay, so I'm down to 1 finger here. I'm going to use this finger, huh? Okay, I'm down to 1 finger. Oh, so is Deanne. All right. And so is Christiandre. All right. So one more. I have never ridden on a motorcycle in Indonesia.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so you're out. So we would stop the game and look to see who has the most fingers left. And I see Preddy has 2. 2 still, and Rena has 2. So you guys are the winners.
Yay.
Okay, so again, that's a questioning activity. And if you want to do 5 fingers, it lasts longer. But you can practice anything else too. Like I like, I like apples, and anybody who doesn't like apples would have to put a finger down or something. But I have never, it's a good activity for that because we don't often practice the negative of have, right? I have been to America. We don't usually practice that. I have never been to America. Okay, so, and yeah, you could adapt this by doing what? Can you imagine adapting this for, like, let's say science class?
Science class, huh?
Or math, or geography. Well, geography would be easy. I have never been to Singapore.
Oh.
Right. We could do that for geography. Might be a little harder for math or for science. Not everything is possible for everything.
Yeah.
Okay, show and tell we talked about a little bit earlier, right? Show and tell is people saying, show me something round and bring it. Or if you want to, you can have students go into breakout rooms and talk about, tell about an object that's important to them, right? Like bringing something to class and talking about it. So bringing a souvenir to class, or a favorite food, or a favorite toy. But you can do it in breakout rooms too, with small groups where they share information about an object and then come back to the main room so that they get some fluency in talking about it. They can talk in small groups first and then come back and talk in a big group. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, I think. If you're doing WhatsApp, right, you can do a couple of things with WhatsApp that you might already be doing, for all I know. But you can have, show me something round. You can use voice messages too, right? For the little kids, you can have, show me something round, and then students can send you a picture of something round. They can just use, do you like apples? And they can just give you a thumbs up emoji rather than having a, having a voice response or a written response. So do you like bananas? And you can go thumbs up or thumbs down emoji to just get a quick comprehension check. Or with older teens, you can have discussions, like what superpower would you like? Why would you like it? And they can chat between each other too. Or you can, this is another Google slide, and I'll go over and show it, but I don't think we're going to actually play it. It might be a little bit too complicated to do in the room, but I'll show you how it would work. Okay, so in this one, you could play it in editing mode, or you can play it in presenting mode. You spin the die, stop it. You move the marker, click the question, and ask the question of somebody else on the class. So just like a board game. But you can do it in Zoom, you can do it in Google Classroom. And so it's a different, and you can edit the cards to make the questions appropriate for whatever it is you're trying to teach, whether it's math or science or English or geography or anything else. And again, I did not make this. This is another teacher's work, and I'm sharing a link to it so that you can use it in your classes too. All right. So next, all right, we already talked about adapting it. Now is your chance to play Kahoot. Have you played Kahoot before? Yeah? All right. If you have your smartphone, go to kahoot.it and type in the code 2151585. Okay, so you're going to type in the code and a nickname. And if everybody, yeah, thank you for putting that in the group, because then I can go to share the screen for it.
The link and the code is already on the chat box, yeah, Bapak Ibu?
Thank you, Ocha, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You are awesome.
Thank you.
Oops, I want to exit from this. Okay, so Kahoot is a quiz game. It's free, and it has what I have students create their own, but oh good, we have people who want to play. All right. So if you want to play, go ahead and come in. This is one about what do you know about Japan? My students made it. So we wanted to do something that was, we were learning about different countries. And so my students wanted to make a quiz about it. Okay, are you ready? There's only 10 questions. How many islands are there in Japan? Five, 850, 6,852, 10,450. Oop, the correct answer is 6,852. Okay, so you see how you're doing? Yay, next question. How many manga do Japanese read every year? Over 2 million? About 1 million? More than 1 billion? Alrighty, over 2 million is the correct answer. Some of you are a little bit more optimistic about Japanese reading. Okay. Ooh. All right, new leader, true or false? The fortune cookie was invented in Japan. What do you think, true or false? True. Okay, let's see. Ima's still in the lead. All right. What is Japan's national flower? We have chrysanthemum, lotus, cherry blossom, hydrangea. All righty. It is the chrysanthemum. Some of you know a lot about Japan. Let's see. Oh, Tricia. How many prefectures are there in Japan? Okay, did you get that one right? That was a harder one. 47. Puji, we have a new leader. True or false again? 10% of the world's volcanoes are in Japan. What do you think? True or false? True. Yes, 10%. Let's see. Ima's back in top. Okay, question 7. What is the name of the Japanese emperor? Okay, then yes, it is Naruhito. My students actually didn't know this. We had to look it up on Wikipedia because they only call him emperor. So, Puji is back on top. True or false? Every vending machine in Japan has an address. What do you think? It is true. Every vending machine has an address because of ambulances and emergency vehicles. So you can tell them where to go. Okay, let's see. We only have a couple more. Puji is holding her lead. All right, so second to last question. What's the most popular sport in Japan? You have baseball, rugby, sumo, soccer. Baseball. So yeah, sumo is the national sport, but the most popular sport is baseball. Last question. Let's see. Who's going to be the, Fariani is the lead going into the final question. So last one. Black cats are lucky in Japan. It is true. Good guess. Okay. Let's see. Anita got 5 out of 10. Ariani, 6 out of 10. Who got 7 out of 10? Puji, yay! Okay, top 3.
Virtual applause.
Okay, I'm gonna close it so that music doesn't keep going. Okay, so let me stop sharing here and come back to share my screen. Now, why did I show you this game? Not just because I wanted to test your knowledge of Japan, but my students made the game, right? So part of it was doing their own research and working together on creating the game because it's free. So it was very easy for them to, they did it face-to-face and it actually is easier to do online. So it's one of the things that you can do in your classes that is pretty easy to do. But when they did it, it looked more like this, right? So they would use the tablet for looking at the answers and then the computer for doing the questions. If you create a Kahoot, then students can also do it as homework. So it's a different way of giving a quiz. So it can be done as a group, as a competition like we did. It can also be done as homework, or it can be done as a student project. So I hope you're able to see it okay. Any questions about that? I've got a link to it in the resources being sent out, but it's a fun variation of a quiz. And it keeps track of the points for you. You can have students work on creating their own too. Okay, so the last section I wanted to talk about before we move to questions and answers is feedback, right? So how do you provide feedback when you're teaching online? Keeping that same sort of social atmosphere of things that you want to try to keep the connection for people. How do you provide feedback? Just that's correct, that's not correct? Or do you have to provide feedback? Does your school require you to provide some assessment for your students? Yes? Yeah, okay. How do you provide feedback now usually? Do you send messages in like WhatsApp, for example, or feedback at Teams? Okay, yeah, Google Forms, that's great. Okay, those are great. I'm actually going to mention Google Forms, so I can ignore that one. You already know it. Google Classroom, private comments. Yeah, it's great. One of the things you can do with WhatsApp too is have students submit videos of themselves reading. This is a student in Japan.
How many crayons, markers, pencil case, crayons, markers, pencil case, 2 crayons, 4 markers, 1 purple pencil case. How many crayons? 2 crayons. How many markers? 4 markers. How many purple pencil cases? 1 purple pencil case.
Okay, so I let this go all the way to the end because I love her smile at the end every time. But this teacher just has her students send a video every day of doing something. They're reading from their textbook or they're singing a song. She doesn't have to respond very much to any of them, but it keeps the connection between the student and the teacher. It gets the parents involved because the parents are the ones that have to send, usually. But yeah, uploading to WhatsApp or to the video to Google Classroom works great. So yeah, video is a great option. I'm glad you guys are already using it and I recommend it. Because also for your students that don't write, it's a great way to see that they're learning. Another thing you can do if you're working in Google Classroom or in Zoom is you can get your students to use a finger system to let you know how they're feeling about things. Like, I'm lost. I don't understand it all. Or I'm starting to understand, but I'm still kind of confused. Or I can do it on my own. And I feel confident enough to teach my classmates. So I got this. So if you can do some, like, so you can check with students. So, you know, how's everybody doing? Show me fingers. And if you see lots of 2 fingers, then you know you should explain it again. If you see just one person with 1 finger, then you might want to spend some time privately, like have students go into, when you have breakout rooms or separate rooms, you can have one room that is designated for feedback and working with students individually if other students have projects going on, so that you can work with students that are lost. So the finger system is a really nice way it keeps students from having to say, I don't get it. Any questions? Do you do something like this? Some easy way for kids to let you know. They can also do thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah, Rina, do you have something to say?
Sebentar, dipakai dulu sama Omi. Well, I'm really curious about the students that don't really involve Wait, I'm sorry. Dedek, tunggu sebentar ya. I'm sorry. Dedek boleh sama Ibu dulu? I'm really curious about your experience. Probably you have the experience when one of the students don't really have this, say, connection with us, don't have really a good engagement with the lesson, how would you deal with it?
It's a hard one, isn't it? What I try to do is Zoom now has, you can let students choose their own breakout rooms. And I'm sure Google Classroom has something similar. But one of the things that I can do is, if I have students in one group, you can actually create rooms for working silently too.
Okay.
But if the students are working on one project or working on different activities or working in pairs or whatever, I can talk to the student individually who isn't getting it.
Okay.
It gives me a chance to have a private chat. You know, WhatsApp is great too, or, you know, Google Classroom. But I can also, the same way that I would take a student aside or go sit by a student's table in a classroom, I can create some space to talk to that student one-on-one to see.
Is it effective during the lesson, or we should do it outside the lesson time?
I think, you know, it kind of depends on how many students you have and how well they work independently. Like if the students can work independently in breakout rooms, then I would say during the lesson. If the student, you know, if that's not an option, like you can't do breakout rooms or you can't pull the student aside for a private chat, then, you know, you want to make time to have a private chat, like after or before, or just to touch base with the student so that they don't go into the next class equally confused, right? But if the student isn't understanding something, you know, there's some chance that other students are also not understanding, right? And so you can take the time and explain it again in a different way, or model it with one of the students who is getting it.
Oh, I see.
Right. So you can model it with somebody else using the webcams. Right. So if somebody knows what they're doing, you can model the activity with one other student, and then check again to see, you know, you getting it 1, 2, and see if you get more fingers. But yeah, you can't go over and just sit next to a student. So you need to get feedback from them about how they're doing. And one of the most effective ways, if you can't use the breakout rooms and talk privately, I think is to do a demo of the activity or of the worksheet with another student in the class who is getting it.
Right.
Right. And then Dewey says something about reviewing lesson at the end of online learning. And one of the things that you can do with reviewing is, games are great for reviewing, for one thing. So if you know, either do the I have never, or show me, or to do something, like everybody stand up, right, sit down, whatever language you're doing, if you can come up with even with cards, a quick drill, hold up the card and have everybody do the action or say the word. You can do that in just a few minutes at the end to make sure everybody knows what it is that they're working on, got the points of the lesson. So you can either use a game, or you can use a quick, you can let them use the thumbs up, thumb down emoji. Like if you review something and they can say, I got it or I didn't get it. So you know what you can bring in the next class. So hopefully that's a good idea. A couple of other ways that you can provide feedback to your students. You mentioned Google Forms, that's a great one. Kaizena is another one if you're using Google Docs, that you can add voice messages to it or text messages to student writing. If you've got older students like teens, if they write in Google Docs, you can give feedback directly on the document by adding a video or by adding a text message to it. Yeah, Schoology is a great one too. Flipgrid is another one where students can upload videos to a central website. And you may not need to use Flipgrid if you are in Google Classroom, but if you're in Zoom, there's no place to upload, you know, videos. So you can post a topic, or you can post a question, and students can upload a video from it. And I think there's a WhatsApp integration, so they can do it directly from a smartphone too. And I think there might be I think there's a Google Classroom integration to work with it. And I'm not going to demonstrate them. This is what the Flipgrid looks like. And there's a link to this little demo and there's a link to Flipgrid so you can check it out. And I'm only demonstrating things that are free. So you don't have to worry about going and finding out that these cost money. And this is Kaizena, where you can, there's a bit of a learning curve. But if you've got students who are writing, it's an excellent way to provide some feedback for them. This one I like is because also it's a check for the teacher, right? We were talking about the social connection. And so for the teacher, I like to check myself at the end of class to make sure I'm connecting with all of my students. Like, did I greet my students by name? Did I use their name during the session? I keep getting my chat too big here. So just little checks for me. Lakshmi, what is a live worksheet? If you'd like to explain it. Oh, we can come back to it at the end too. But anyway, this is a nice little a grid that I can use to make sure that I did something in my class to connect with every student. Like, did I ask them a personal question? Did I pay them a compliment? Because sometimes students, you know, they'll be zoning out at home. They won't be paying attention to the screen. They get tired. And so this is a great way to see if, did I make sure that I engaged with each student once during the lesson, at least. Okay, so after we talked about all of these different things, what are some suggestions for planning effective lessons? Did you get any ideas that you could take back? Sounds like you've got a lot of ideas of your own too. So if you'd like to share some of your own ideas, or, you know, taking the ideas that I shared into consideration, how you could plan more engaging lessons, I would love to hear from you, either by voice or in the chat. And I would love to hear how you're using Schoolology, WeWeek, or Live Worksheet from Lakshmi.
Maybe we can invite them to speak,
yeah? Yeah, I would love to if they're willing to turn on their mic.
Yeah, maybe the first one, Miss Lakshmi. Hello, Miss Lakshmi. Would you please unmute yourself so we can discuss about it?
Or not. Okay.
Or maybe Miss Wiwi. We have Miss Wiwi here, unmuted.
So how do you use Schoolology for feedback?
I'm
Muted?
sorry, Miss Wiwi, we cannot hear you. Maybe the speaker is not connected. It's already unmuted, but we still cannot hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. So maybe, but at least people can look up Schoolology and Live Worksheet.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, including more games, right? Now, Christiandre, do you have something you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm working with the kindergarten students. So our school is using the Telegram. So in Telegram, there is the you know, the circle video message.
Right.
So every time we finish Zoom, we continue to Telegram and ask them, how do you feel? Talk about the theme or anything that we discussed earlier.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and they actually see us also talking to them directly, just and answering our question, and in very nice way, actually.
That is really great. Yeah, Telegram is a great app.
Right.
So yeah, I hope a lot of people could try that. Nearpod, Pear Deck, yeah. I know a lot of teachers are using those. Okay. So one of the things that I would suggest to you, oh, thank you. I appreciate having that link. So liveworksheets.com, I'll have to look it up later. That's a new one for me. Here are some of my suggestions. Oh, okay, so teachers can upload the PDF or images. That's a great idea. but it's still kind of, it sounds like it saves teachers some work. So that's a good thing. So, but one of the things to remember is that the teacher is more important than the tool, and the pedagogy is more important than any app. So you still want to plan your lessons from simple to complex, and look at the flow. Like, how am I going to get students? If you're teaching younger children, you need to build in times for them to move, right? It's still hard for students to sit still. We wouldn't expect them to sit still that long at home if they are in class, but it's hard when they're at home. So my tips to finish up are creating a sense of community, because it helps students learn. And you want to tailor the pedagogy to your platform. Like, you don't want to recreate your face-to-face lessons, right? Because you can't. You're not face-to-face. But you can, you're doing some things already, I can see, using Google Classroom and Zoom and WhatsApp and Telegram and Schoology that are tailored to work with those platforms. You're not trying to make your classroom look the same or feel the same. You're trying to take advantage of what you do have now. So you want to make sure your objectives and your expectations are clear. So what are you going to do? What are your students going to do? And can they do that, right? A good example is doing the scavenger hunt and teachers pointing out that their students can't write, right? So don't do an activity that you're going to expect your students to write if they can't. And provide a variety of ways for students to answer or give you feedback, like thumbs up or emoji race if you're in WhatsApp or Telegram or something, where you can, where students can find the emoji. You can give them a hint for the emoji and they can put it in chat. Or, do you like spaghetti? And students can just give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Provide feedback in a variety of ways. WhatsApp, Telegram, video, audio. Keep checking in to see how your students are feeling, and that's true for everybody. And then take care of yourself too. It's the old saying that when you're on an airplane, put your own oxygen mask on before putting the oxygen mask on the person next to you. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. Yeah, and Padlet is a really great platform too. So there's a lot of options here that you can use for feedback. So that is almost all here. Now, how are you feeling now? We've been together for almost 2 hours. So are you feeling hopefully not bored? Are you feeling excited to try out some new things? Hungry because it's almost dinner time? Excited, oh good, happy. Surprised. Now you're just making me feel good. I know. Nobody would want to type something bad, right? Oh, yeah, I'm very happy too. I loved getting ideas from all of you. I've got some ideas to take back to my classes too. So thank you. Okay, so a simple check-in like this too is something that is very easy to use with your students, right? So you can have, you can let people pick emojis to tell you how they're feeling. Because, you never know what's happening in their homes either, or what's happening in the life around them. If somebody got sick, or if somebody lost a job, or somebody just had a birthday. So it's a great way to check and see how your students are doing. And I'm glad that all of you are excited and happy and feeling cool. All right, so we're at the question and answers portion. If there are any questions that we still haven't answered or that you would like to ask, I'm done with what I planned on presenting. So now we just have questions, and I'll turn it over to Ocha to help with that.
Okay, thank you, Miss Barbara. And ladies and gentlemen, great educators, if you have any questions to Miss Barbara, you can type it on the chat box or you can use the raise hand feature. Silakan Bapak Ibu, bagi yang masih ingin bertanya kepada Miss Barbara, bisa menuliskannya di chat box maupun raise hand ya.
So I see one question about showing the examples of activities. Links to everything that will be sent out from Mentari.
Okay, yeah.
Everything I shared has links.
Yeah, at the end of the session, I will share the link. And we have one participant here, Miss Barbara.
Yeah, Ronnie.
Mr. Ronnie. Hello, Miss Ronnie.
Hello, Miss Barbara. Very
Hi.
nice to have heard your presentation. I think it was great.
Thank you.
So there were some points that I noted during the presentation, also interaction with the fellow educators. One of them is about their response to your questions about what they did that helped them learn English. It was from songs, movies, YouTubes. Even one mentioned about classroom activities. so we are talking about classroom activities now, but none of my fellow educators mentioned class activities, right? So okay. So the topic of our discussion here is about virtual learning and its impact on students. After hearing your presentation just now, I think if we can follow the suggestions that presented in your presentation, I think it will make our class really interesting. The students will be enthusiastic. It really will give good impact to the students.
Good, I hope so.
But I have one question,
yes.
Hoskins, that probably you can give me some opinions about it. Sometimes in our place, some students just have different background. They have different family background, a lot of things different, right? And I think this results in different life, different learning style. So what I want to ask you is, how do you cope with the students who have different learning styles in your well-designed class activities like that?
Okay. Well, if I'm in a face-to-face class, I would try to include multiple senses in every activity. So since pedagogy is pedagogy, I would do the same thing in my online classes too. So some students learn better by seeing things. Some students will learn better by manipulating things, moving things around. Some students learn better by speaking and listening. And so if I can include movement, speaking and listening, and looking at things, then I'm going to cover most of the ways that students learn. So for example, if we're using the picture, I can have students looking at the picture, using annotation to circle things on the picture, or pointing, or making like, can you find a circle? What looks like a circle? And so, okay, everybody show me a circle, make a circle, and they show me, or like everybody, where's your nose, touch your nose, and then physically doing it, and then maybe also saying, nose, repeating after me. Or if they're older students, having them write. Older students writing is the same as younger students drawing. And so if the students also are younger, they can draw at home and bring the picture to class to talk about. So, but again, trying to incorporate multiple senses helps students learn in any environment. It's just a bit more of a challenge when we don't have cute toys we can play with in class. Right? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Hoskins. Above other things, I think face-to-face learning activities should be a lot better than these online activities.
In a lot of ways, and yet this is probably our new normal for a while.
Yeah. Just hope that it will be fine, right? Over this pandemic. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I see a good question from Camelia here too about if we give the live game and the parents sneak in to help the kids. Yeah, some parents are very competitive, aren't they? So I think that what you do, I mean, there's no perfect answer because the parents are paying you. And so you don't want to make them angry. But, I think it's reasonable to send them a WhatsApp message saying that their kids aren't getting the true value of what they're paying for, right? That you're really thrilled that they're working on their English, and you're happy to have them included, but the kids aren't really getting the most benefit out of it if they keep helping. And that the children will learn a little bit more if the parents give them space. But it's, you know, you can't even see the parents sometimes, right? I know in Japan sometimes they'll be sitting outside of the camera and you just hear the whisper of the answer, right? So you'll say, what's this? And then you'll hear this, it's a cat, it's a cat, right? And the parent is helping the children. And so I think that we need to have an honest conversation with parents and say, your kid, you know, I know you want your kids to do great and they're going to do much better if they make mistakes and try it on their own. But yeah, you can't really stop them. Anything else before we finish up?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is there any participants who would like to ask? Well, I think that's because your explanation is very clear, Miss Barbara, and also the activities is very interactive. So I think there is no more questions. So Miss Barbara, before we finish the session, maybe you have some kind of like closing statements you want to share to the educators here? Anything?
Yeah, sure. I think, domo arigato to you too, Jill. I think that one of the things that I'm getting from listening to you, because again, at the very beginning, I said we all have something to share and we all have something to learn. And I think that it's really great that you are sharing with each other. I learned a lot from you, from your chat and your answers and sharing the resources that you did. So the more that we can share with each other, the easier it makes it for all of us. But keep on doing the great job that you're doing. And thank you, Mentari, for making these kind of workshops possible. And thank you for inviting me to do them. So, you know, I couldn't possibly come to Indonesia these days. So this is the closest I'm going to get. Although I hope to get back to Indonesia in person very soon. I hope the world changes enough so that it's possible.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Barbara. And thank you for your wonderful and informative session about the impact of virtual learning. And from your explanation, we received so many teaching ideas and also strategies to be applied to the virtual learning. So thank you again very much, Miss Barbara. Thank you. And educators, now let's have a photo session together. So please turn on the camera. Oh, okay. Before we go to the photo session, I forgot about this. I'm sorry. So if you have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, if you still have any questions you want to deliver to Miss Barbara, you can chat to us, to our WhatsApp number, or send an email to the displayed email on the screen. Silakan, jadi apabila masih ada pertanyaan yang ingin ditanyakan, bisa melalui kontak yang sudah tertera di layar ya, Bapak Ibu.